Hi, my loves. I'm being called, I feel like, to talk about so many different things. But today I want to talk to you about just 2020 and how far we have already come. So there is so much that goes into that. As we know, the world feels so different. Everyone's using the words new normal and, old normal. Was it ever normal? But there's so much chaos in the world. There's so much anger and frustration. There's also a lot of love. There's caring. And there's a lot of us figuring out so many different things because we're being stimulated from the outside world. We're being stimulated by everything that's happening around us in our own relationships and then in our own unique capsule of life, whether we have been dealing with family dynamics changing, home changing, jobs, lifestyles. Everything is changing dramatically more than it ever has before, more than any of us know of that it has happened before on this earth plane. And we're all involved. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what's happened so far and where we're at right now. So, from my perspective and my belief, and of course, whatever resonates with you, you take. Um, Collectively, from a soul perspective, I think that we all agreed on having this take place. And this is the Great Awakening. This is a time where things are moving much quicker than it ever has before from an energetic standpoint, from a consciousness standpoint. But right now it feels heavy, it feels um, chaotic, it feels confusing, and it feels to many people that there's so much happening and coming at us that we can't believe, or I don't know, it's that we can't believe it as much as we just don't want to believe that the world has been this way, is this way. Um, so, from my perspective, the 2020 time period up until now, the last 6 or 7 months, because it really became strong in March, um, and now we're in September. So, we're nearing the end of September, September 18th. So, in the last 6 to 7 months, we have been brought to a perspective where we are changing on a unique individual level. And that depends on where each one of us has been, where we are at the moment, and what our next levels are for us, and each of the us that's unique. So, a lot of things have happened in the 3D physical world. Jobs changing, like I said, the home dynamics, the schools, um, unfortunately sickness, and a fear of this new this new pandemic that occurred. So there's so much that's happening that it's putting a pressure, not a pressure on us, but an energy on us that is having us turn internally and say, what does this mean for me individually? A lot of us do have family members, loved ones, children that we're dealing with as well. But from an overall true big perspective, it's about us uniquely. So to turn inside and say, wait a minute, everything had to stop, pause. My life is changing. I'm allowed to, not allowed to do things. Um, I'm not supposed to do things. All this stuff is happening, and it's for us to turn inside and say, what is it that we really want, that I really want? What actually makes me joyful? What actually would help me to feel I am free? And that's going to be different for me than it is for you, than it is for your neighbor, than it may be for your husband, wife, partner, mother, father, child. Each individual person might have differences as far as what that means for them, because that's really looking inside and saying, outside of this human perspective of I have to live this way, I have to do things this way, I have to live in a society, so I have to have this type of job because I want to make this type of money, because I want to have this type of life. Outside of all that, take that all away. And what do you truly have? So then you turn inside and you say, what actually is here for me? What makes me joyful? What will be here no matter what? What do I need to be here no matter what? And many of us have become, this very intuitive people who have seen their intuition change. There's many people who thought they were on a 3D career projection that now have seen that change. So it can go from a worldly, earthly plane level, 3D perspective, to a soul perspective. But really what the universe is doing for us in the last 6 or 7 months is having us awaken to our next levels. And that's going to be so different for each one of us. So when we talk about awakening, it's a constant process, because we're not our angelic selves. We're not our full multi-dimensional whole entire being while we're having this human experience. We never will be. But we keep on moving to new levels. We keep on opening our minds, our hearts, our souls to new perspectives. And right now in 2020, the last 6 to 7 months, from an energetic standpoint, there's been a lot of energy that's been coming into us that is changing us physically and spiritually, so that we become more and more prepared for what's still to come. So many of us may see this and be aware of it, but most people on this earth plane are not even aware of it. They may see little tidbits and have certain little realizations, but they're not really realizing that they're adjusting completely. And even some of the feelings of unwell is coming from your physical body changing. Now, there is sickness, there is fear, there's anxiety, and there's anger, there's frustration that can make our bodies not feel well as well. But sometimes even we don't feel well, and we automatically turn to believe it's one of those things, even though we don't understand how it could have happened, when it may be energetic. So I just want you guys to be aware that all of these changes have been taking place and continue to take place. The energy right now is extremely strong, and it's really asking us to make some decisions, to shed some things that no longer serve us. So there's been a lot of changes in relationships, for example, which is a big one, and a big one for the last 6 months to a year. If you came into this time period carrying too much weight, weight, from a relationship standpoint, either with yourself or with others, then you may be seeing it in a totally different light right now. Like, can I do this anymore? Should I do this anymore? It just doesn't feel like it's the right thing. So anything that you're questioning, what this is asking you to do is to look at what your heart wants, your gut wants, your soul wants, however you would like to talk to it. But it's about an intuitive knowing. And it's clearing you so that you're more open and expansive for the next few years, because the next few years is going to be a lot more that happens, and a lot of people are tired already, are worn out already, and wanted to go back to the way it was. And we need to realize that it's never going to go back to the way it was. But as we grow and expand through this, we want to be prepared on all levels so that we can expand and evolve into what we need to to make our lives better and individually, and in doing so, to make the world a better place. So that's a little tidbit on where I feel like we are for 2020. And currently, we're at a turning point as far as really getting to an extreme. If you haven't already made the decisions, if you haven't already listened to your heart in a lot of circumstances, it may feel very, I guess, explosive or pressured right now, because your soul's asking you. It's asking you to really look at it and say, why are you still carrying this? Why are you still dealing with this? It's not you. So it's time right now to really look at those things that are coming into your awareness and saying to yourself, what decisions do I need to make? As hard as they are, if I'm going to be on this timeline that's moving into the new multidimensional arena, then I need to make some of these hard choices right now. I have free choice to not do that. I have free choice to stay where I am. And you're more than welcome to do that as well. But that's what this pressure and energy is from an internal individual perspective. And then we add everything that's going on in the world, and a lot of us are feeling really, really overwhelmed, especially if you feel very connected to specific pieces of it. And I, for that piece, it's happening. I'm not going to deny that it's happening. But from a bigger perspective, we need to see that we're all shedding right now. And there is a place for people who are, standing up for certain things. There's definitely a place for that. And it's definitely people who are here and that's their purpose. And they're making that change in that respect. For many of us, our purpose is really truly to follow our own heart and intuition, and that will bring us to what our purpose is. So if you feel disconnected a bit because you feel like you can't make a change that you want to make, then you really need to look at it and say, am I an activist? Is that really my purpose? Am I, if it is, then it is, and you're on your heart's path. If it's not, you can still make huge amounts of change without actually being that 3D physical activist. You can do it in so many different ways, from an energetic perspective, from being an example to others of the type of lives they can live, of showing compassion and love every day. And those are the simple ways. I wouldn't say it's easy, but simple ways of saying, which other people have spoken about. There's a multitude of different things, and the reason why this world turns and works the way that it does is because each one of us has our individual strengths, our individual goals, and by coming together, we create a consciousness where, the wheels are turning and the gears are turning, I should say, and it's creating the whole machine to work. So each one of us is a little piece. Each one of us is a drop of water within that wave. The wave can't happen if all the drops are not a part of it. So remember that you have your one little piece. And right now, it's getting us ready to really step into those roles for ourselves. But the only way that we can step into those roles is if we get rid of all the baggage. So it's definitely this September time, in the next 3 months or so, is really a high energy as far as really shedding and getting rid of anything that's still holding you back from moving into this next timeline of you really becoming more of your soul and more of your soul purpose, and more of a collective that's going to raise a consciousness, and we're going to keep on moving forward together. So thank you. That's where I feel we are, and I hope it. It's that if it resonates with you, please take what you can from it. If it doesn't, then it's not your truth. Um, Either way, I love you all, and I'll see you and I'll talk to you a little bit more about the rest of this.